keg bulk keg buy. So just a couple things I wanted to share with you here. So these come with expressly no warranty. So they have been pressure tested, but one thing that I wanted to show you guys was how you can actually do a pressurized test. So this is how I do it. So I got right here, this is my Spunding valve. Cost me about 40 bucks to buy. So you need a gas disconnect, a GIC, a T, a pressure relief valve, and a gauge. I use one that goes to 30. That's just because it's a little bit more accurate for the finer pressures that I use for fermentation. Now, one thing that I do for testing my pressure in my kegs to make sure that they're not leaking is I also have this here. This is a GIC connect, and it connects to a air compressor female adapter. So what I do then is I connect this to my air compressor and I push it into my keg until it's about 20 psi on my Spunding valve. So I have my Spunding valve on while I pressurize it, and then I just check to make sure that it's not decreasing at all. So a few things that can actually go wrong is you got the O-ring here. This is the major O-ring for your lid. You also got one here for the pressure valve that's built into the lid. These actually screw out, and there's a little poppet of sorts inside it. It's a little hard to get out with one finger, but you just twist it. Do this, and that comes out. So you got that. That's a seal right there. That if that's leaking, that's another area that can go. Then of course you've got an O-ring on your posts, both the ball on your ball lock. You got gas and your beverage, and inside you got a poppet as well. So that poppet has an O-ring. So you got two O-rings on the poppet, two O-rings on a post, a big O-ring for your lid, and another O-ring for the check valve. And yeah, I think that's about it for the O-rings, if I'm not missing anything. So any one of those could actually fail. It's just a matter of finding out what is failing. So I'll actually show you one here right now that is leaking for me pretty bad. I'll show you how I do it. Yeah, one other O-ring is the O-ring on your dip tube for your gas and your beverage. This one here is pretty chewed up. I don't know if I can get you to see that. So that one's pretty chewed up. That's not going to hold any pressure, so that's got to be replaced. So that again on your gas as well. Alright, here we are with the keg. So I got the Spunding valve on, the lid is off, and I've got my little adapter I made up for the air compressor here. So what I do is, well, I think Patrick usually wants you to leave them off until they're pressurized and then close the lid, but I can't do it with one hand, so I'm going to close it, and then I add the air to it. So that's increasing there. I'm going to dial up the pressure. So I got, just one sec. Alright, so I've got just about 23 psi in there. So it doesn't really look like it's actually decreasing too bad, but I know this one's got some leaks. So what I do is I take my Star Sands in a squirt bottle, just like that. give it some squirts around there. And yeah, so there's a leak there, a small leak. And it's not coming out too bad. Not as bad as I expected. And there's no leaks on that post. It hasn't really dropped too bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the other post. So I take off my spunding valve. Put that aside. I'm going to squirt that post. It's not leaking too bad for me now. But there's a small little leak there, at least that bubble. When you see bubbles like that, that's a sign that you got a leak. Alright, so there you go. That's how you check it and save yourself some money on CO2 by using your air compressor to do pressure tests. One other thing I want to say is that these are rated for 100 and I think it's 150 psi. I think. Check your kegs; it should be on the side. So use caution. Be sure to dial down your pressure on your air compressor before you actually add it. So see mine, I've got it set to about 30 psi. Yeah, about 30 psi there. Actually, it's about 40, but definitely not in the range where it's going to blow up your keg. All right, so use caution, and talk to you later. Bye.